if my white friends are making more than what I can be able to make? How am I expect to pay? How am I expect to buy new shoes and clothing for my children if I'm not able to get the same amount of income that my white friends may be able to get? That process is called redlining. In 2022, it shows that in New York, they received in planned funding $1.8 billion versus Los Angeles received $636.9 million. But Chicago, we only received $26 million.
Right. Now, with the tax, we say.
In 2021, the mayor received $1.8 billion, but she only gave $117 million towards Chicago. That was only a one-time payment. I could see if she gave at least every year the $117 million. But I think that if she gave it every year, we will see a better rate of less homeless people in the city of Chicago.
Right.
Hey, how's everybody doing this evening? Please, if you have any questions, hold it to the end. My name is Malik Bradley. I live in an area of 27 years. I represent Care for Friends, which is an organization that is a member of Friendship Townhall. I'm currently interning at Care for Friends, where we feed and clothe people experiencing homelessness.
Can't hear you.
I'm currently interning at Care for Friends, where we feed, clothe people experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness. Something I noticed is that a lot of people seek shelter, but a lot of the shelters are poor in the city. And on top of that, the struggles that people are facing will only be addressed in permanent housing. That's why I'm part of the coalition. Now, I'm going to talk about what we can do to address the problem. Okay, so the goal of Bring Chicago Home is to create a new dedicated revenue stream to fund permanent housing and supportive services for people experiencing homelessness in shelters, on the streets, and double up. The proposal is to change the real estate transfer tax. And you may be asking, what is the real estate transfer tax? It's a one-time tax on properties when they are sold, and it's a tax that already exists. Our long-term proposal is to increase the real estate transfer tax by 1.9 percentage points on properties over $1 million. The increase only applies to 4.2% of transactions. 96% will not be impacted. Now, this is a three-step process. The first step is to get the question on the ballot. City Council must vote to include a question on the ballot of the upcoming election, asking voters for permission to raise the real estate transfer tax. The second step, Chicago votes yes. A simple majority is to vote in favor of the ballot question. The third and final step is to get the law passed. With With permission from the voters, the city can then pass an ordinance increasing the real estate transfer tax. Now, we're still in the first step of that process, and we have ways to go. So with the help of the community, we can make it happen. And next, I would like to introduce the board.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I talk loud anyway, so I may not hear you. My name is LaToya Winters, and I grew up in East Garfield Park, right here. It's my history, and I still live on the west side, where I work at St. Anthony Hospital, and I'm in the community wellness program, where we provide free services to the underserved on the west and southwest sides, where we work with those who've been victims of violence, especially homelessness. I grew up at Marillac House, now Marillac St. Vincent Family Services. It's there as a little girl I grew my love for community, service, and giving back. It's why I chose the social work field, and it's why I'm here today, because it comes from the heart. So to start off, what would the money be used for? It'll be permanent supportive housing, where we'll combine housing for wraparound services. So with the wraparound services, that'll be preservation of existing housing, but also creating new housing as well, housing vouchers and other models that can be combined with these as well. Next one. What would be the impact of our proposal? So our proposal would estimate $159 million every year. The funding could provide permanent housing for over 12,000 families and individuals over the next 10 years. The city revenue could house those with barriers such as those living doubled up, people re-entering from prison, undocumented immigrants, and so many more. And since this funding would be from the city, it wouldn't follow the same protocols as federal funding. These are some of the other issues that are impacted by housing as well. So the legal system, those that may be recycled back into the system. So recidivism will be those going back into the prison system constantly being recycled. So community safety and violence prevention. If people have their own safe housing situations, they will not be out in unsafe environments. Health, the physical and mental health, well-being, it all goes together. So if you solve one, then that helps to be able to solve all the others. So this is why some of us and hospitals and also healthcare providers, we were able to sign on to this letter to be able to support Bring Chicago Home and what it does. And I wanted to read to you all a small snippet from the letter that we all signed on. Our neighbors are struggling and need the kind of structural change that Bring Chicago Home is aiming to create. We need the support of City Council to put this question on the ballot in order to take the first step in generating this urgently needed funding. And this is also many thanks to those who signed on to this letter: Amina Health, Esperanza Health Center, PCC Community Wellness Center, Prime Care Health, St. Anthony Hospital, Loretta Hospital, University of Illinois Hospitals and Health Science Systems, and Westside United. We want to thank you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, we're gonna ask you guys a set of questions, okay? And on your tables, you should have a red and green, you should have red and green piece of paper. You want to see them? That's good. Okay, you're ready for the paper. Now, when we ask a question, when we ask a question, if you think the answer is yes, I want you to raise the green sheets of paper, okay? Anytime you want to answer yes, raise the green sheets of paper. If you feel that the answer is no, I want you to raise the red sheets of paper. All right, for any questions asked. Let's try this out, okay? You guys ready? Did you pay for it? Okay. Here goes. Do you understand the directions? Yes or no? Papers, please. All
We got
right.
that energy in the room, where you guys at, where you guys at?
Yeah, papers, please. Okay, we got green papers everywhere. Yeah, okay, one more, do you believe that there's a housing and homelessness crisis in our city? Red and green, yes, for green, no, for red, everyone thinks so. Great. You can do 2 years. Okay, everyone.
Okay, we are actually going, I know you guys have a program in here. We are actually going to switch the program around a little bit because we want to hear from, Alderman Burnett and, Alderman Irvin. We want to hear from you. So we want to hear from our aldermen. And so, we have a few series of questions, yes or no questions that we're asking. Are you okay with us asking you questions? Okay. If you said no, then what, people?
I'm going to back it.
Wow. Wow. We need supporters in the room. Raise the green paper if you are a supporter of the Bring Chicago Home campaign. That's what I like to see. Thank you. And so with all those green papers, we hopefully will get Alderman Burnett to support, which he's been a strong supporter anyway. And so you are already a committed co-sponsor of the Bring Chicago Home campaign. And so we would like to thank you. So everybody, please, let's thank Alderman Burnett for program, and how you talk about homelessness, and you know how this is a huge issue in our community, and how you are in support of more affordable housing. Will you do everything in your power to make this a priority for the Black Caucus? Approach the mayor to make this a priority and announce your support publicly. You told me to speak in mic.
Yes.
You all know how the Baptist Christians do? I'm from the West. Okay, so on May 25th, we are planning an interfaith event to call on the mayor to work with us to pass our resolution. Will you commit to not just attend this event, but, okay, I'm talking to you. Will you commit to not just attend this event, but speak at this event?
So I have to see my schedule is, I have to rock in the schedule.
But you will, like, still support it, right? Wonderful. Come on, you guys. Thank you all so much. We just had Alderman Irvin to walk in, who is actually my alderman. Because I mentioned to you guys earlier that I am a long-term resident of his ward. I work in his ward, and my church is actually in his ward as well. And so thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate you. We kind of missed some things, but right now we are at the point of just kind of asking some questions. Are you okay with us asking you some questions? You all have to, You all have to get your unfamiliar with you stands. Okay, moving right along. So, the first question is, will you do everything in your power to make this a priority for the Black Caucus? Approach the mayor to make this a priority and announce your support publicly.
So two things, one, as it relates to the referendum that is presented, I do support the concept of the referendum. I will say this, the homelessness issues, not only between the four residents and West Side residents in general, homelessness definitely is on top, 3, 4 issues that we have to work toward and support. And I do support additional revenue toward the support of homelessness, services for the homeless. I do think that we can broaden what we're using revenue for to support not just one issue, but a plethora of issues that are affecting our community in general. So, as it relates to, as it stands right now, for strictly the homelessness, my answer to that would be no. But I do believe that we can broaden that in a way that we can do things such as lives extension, employment opportunities for young people, as well as working to help support the violence in the community. So I think those are the points that we also need to bring along with this message.
Did anyone want to answer that? Respond to that? And so you did mention that you do support homelessness and raising the issue of homelessness and getting more funding. What we would like to know is, do you co-sponsor, would you co-sponsor this resolution? Would you commit to co-sponsoring this resolution?
With the,
And I think, let me say this, I think that we have met, I think we've met on a few occasions, and so like the terminology and what the funds will be used for, and all of that stuff, like, we've talked about that. But we are trying to get dedicated funding for homeless services. And all we're asking is that you be a co-sponsor. Because really, what we want is for you guys to allow us to put this on a referendum, just so the Chicagoans can vote. That's what we're asking. And so all of the other issues, we are not negating that there are other issues in the city of Chicago. Again, I live on the west side. I see the violence every day from my transportation from work to home. I see it. We know that's a huge issue. But right now, we are talking about the Bring Chicago Home campaign so that we can again get dedicated funding. It was mentioned earlier that there's $100 million that was dedicated because we got the additional government funding for this year only. But what's gonna happen next year and year after that? And so all we're asking is that you guys co-sponsor this resolution. Can we get a commitment from you on that?
again, I do believe that we need to have a dedicated, source of revenue for homelessness. And I would tell you that from the calls that we receive in our office, the communities of Austin, East and West Rockville Park, and Orlando, we have a lot of issues in terms of work with. Again, I have no objection to getting dedicated funds to homelessness. 28 wards home to 5 different organizations that work on some of the most challenging.
Yes or no?
Well, if you want a definite answer, the answer would be
If you what?
We need a straight answer. He said no. He said no. Make it plain. Get somebody in their seat that's gonna roll with us.
Okay, so what we did here is that homelessness is an issue. What we did here is that homelessness is an issue in this ward, but in many other wards and in the city of Chicago. Unfortunately, we did not get a commitment as a co-sponsor. But what I did here are the words dedicated, and that's what we are going after. That's what we are going after, dedicated funding.
What is the money doing? What's the money
Pardon me?
The money that you're gonna try to get to.
So we're gonna get supportive housing. The money that we are trying to raise with the real estate transfer tax, dedicated funding, supportive housing.
What is supporting?
Meaning, supportive housing is, individuals who move into housing, they will receive case management support for the rest of their lives. Case management support. That is, so you have to pay for case management. They get a salary, they get an income. They are getting help on their rent. And so a lot of the units will be subsidized. This funding will create more housing.
And is it only for people with families?
It is not only, it is not only for people who have families. This funding will go to individuals, It will go towards subsidized housing. It will go towards mental health services. It will go towards violence prevention. You did mention that, right? So this funding is creating a lot of avenues for homeless individuals. What's your question again?
No, I was saying, these houses that you're talking about, ain't it like this?
So we're trying to eliminate all of the stigma and all of the barriers that it takes to get into housing. It's a wait list because there's a shortage. That's why it's a wait list. And so we're trying to, it's a shortage of housing. That's why there is a wait list.
Affordable housing. I'll be honest with you, ma'am, I feel like y'all asking for money to put in y'all own pockets, to be honest, because it's programs out here and stuff like that, and like I said, it seems like they're not doing much. It's like the money going in your own pockets, in my opinion. You know, I've been home for 3 years now, and why? And I'm with CHA, so what's the problem?
So CHA is a subsidized housing
And I'm
program.
with them, and I got a project-based voucher.
So that's part of funding. That's
Again,
existing
why
in
y'all
the
not
house.
y'all y'all ask for this help, y'all want all this help, and when you get it, what's this?
We want the help for every single person in this room, including you. And so if you are not receiving the help that you need at this moment, this is the reason why we are raising
At
this
this
issue.
moment, I had, no help in 3 years, is what I'm telling you.
And that's the problem.
Y'all had people up there talking that already got the house, it sound like, you had nobody talking that's still out here struggling, ain't got nothing.
Everyone knows they're supporting housing.
Y'all want
They're just supporting housing happening now.
y'all don't get it.
Further, they're asking to help those in need.
I can't
Help
hear you.
build more housing, to find more housing. We don't need for us. Some of these first.
We actually want to hear from Alderman Blvd again because he did say yes, that he will support this, resolution. So we'd like to know why, your reason for supporting it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You said that question, it doesn't.
First of all, thank you. First of all, I want to begin Beverly Place. It's a great organization. This organization will wrap around services. It helps ladies, women with housing, with a lot of different challenges, and they wrap services around them to make sure that they can function right and be okay. And coincidentally, we're getting ready to build 62 more houses right next door to here.
Yes.
Inside the school.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you, so the thing about this house, and coincidentally, I got a young lady in my office right now. I'm trying to help her find an apartment. Right? She works for me. She stays with her mother. I'm trying to help her find an apartment. And we have a lot of different organizations that have apartments, right? But they all have waiting lists.
Yes.
Right? They don't have, they had to wait for a long time because there's not a lot of support. A lot of these buildings that need to be built, it takes a long time for them to be built because there's not enough resources for them to get built right away. They have to wait in line for tax credits. They have to compete with CHA. They have to compete with other organizations in order to get money to build the housing for people who need affordable housing.
whether it be no income, low income, affordable, whatever the case may be. You know, I would have to say, and I have to give credit where credit is due, the mayor is doing a great job with helping with some of the affordable housing ordinances. But it's not enough, right? Some of the money that's coming from the federal government is okay, but it's not enough, right? I still have people coming in my office every day and they need an apartment. Yes. We still have people sleeping under the viaducts who would love to have a place to stay if they had a secure place to stay. Some folks just functionally can't live with other people. Right? Some folks can't even go to shelters for whatever mental state that they're in. They don't want to be in a shelter. Right. For a lot of different reasons. Yes. They need their own apartment. Yes. But there's not enough money for everyone. I probably have more affordable housing getting built in my ward as of late more than other wards because I want affordable housing built. But it's still not enough. And I tell you, it takes a long time to get it built because everybody's competing for money. So on average, it takes about 4 to 5 years before you can get a deal in ink. Because you got to compete with a lot of other people for money because we don't have enough money. And actually what happens for organizations like this, they got to literally compete with CHA. Because CHA is not only using their own money, they trying to use the money that other organizations trying to use also with tax credits. So what they are asking for with this ordinance is to put a thing in place to allow people to vote on a referendum to say if they want our government to allow for an extra tax to be put on to transfer tax when folks sell their properties over $1 million. Yeah. Which is a small percentage of people in the city of Chicago. They tried it 4 years ago. The state of Illinois was in support of it. The challenge was that there was competition for the money. Because when you talk about new money coming to the table, other folks want that money for different things, right? And there was competition for it. But let me say this, and then I appreciate my colleague saying that there's a lot of other things, like he said that there's other things that the money needs to be used for too. This organization and the people who's working on this ordinance, this legislation, or this referendum are willing to work with folks and compromise on things, but what their main thing is that we need some dedicated money to go toward homelessness. Yes, yes, yes. So all this referendum is doing is asking for more money to go toward homelessness and be dedicated to homelessness, right? Yes. Be dedicated where it don't have to compete with. You literally get homeless folks competing with government for money. Right. CHA is, I try to get tax credits for this project next door. These folks got to compete with CHA because CHA is trying to get the same money they trying to get for their projects, right? And it just takes a long time. But you know what? As time goes on, people are still sleeping in cars. People are still sleeping on the viaduct. Yes. You know, you saw that thing, the dark spots wasn't just the west side and the south side. The dark spot was on downtown too. And the reason why that dark spot was downtown is you have a lot of people homeless downtown. Yes. Right? They sleeping downtown. Yes. They sleeping in the cubby holes. They sleeping in Grant Park. Yes. They sleeping all inside the businesses' doorways. If you go downtown right now, you see folks just out there with kids, with families. They need a place to stay. And like I say, the shelters don't have enough room. We just built a new shelter by the Salvation Army. It took years to allow for women and children to be separate from men. Right? We had to separate them so the women could feel comfortable. Because when they was at 10 South Kersey, they all had to sleep on the floor in the gym. And then they had to worry about if a guy was going to mess with their kids. You know, so we got one building like that for women and children in this city. One building where do all the other women and children go?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's a lot of women and children out here who's homeless. Now, when you talk about doubling up, and then you talk about people coming home, returning citizens, I'm a returning citizen. And when I came home, I had to sleep on people's couches.
Right.
And I had to illegally live in Cabrini Green in my mama's house because you don't supposed to live in public housing when you're an ex-offender. And that, how many people we know that's like that? How many uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, aunties that in that same position?
Right.
What we are saying, city and government, they doing what they can, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
Actually, what this does is help them to get more money too. But
Right.
we need the referendum put on the ballot. We need to get some of this money, and we need to work on it. Now, if government want to use something, some of it for some of their stuff too, fine. But the thing is, we need more money.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
It's not enough money. It's not enough money to satisfy all of the needs that we have in our society. And like I say, I had two people in my office at the same time, and I'm competing with a girl in my office who needed a home, and a guy who just walked off the street who needed a home. And in both instances, all of the places that we called got a waiting list, and neither one of them can get an apartment. You know what I'm saying? And that's doubling up.
Yeah.
You got now she's staying with her mama in the CHA apartment, and her mama can rent loose to her apartment because she can't live, she don't supposed to live there. Or her mama can rent her rent going up because she's got a job now and she's not supposed to be living there. You understand what I'm saying? So that's doubling up. And if any of you all live with somebody that's getting assistance on their rent, if you start making money, you can make their rent go up, or they can lose their apartment. Yeah. That's why we need people not to be able to double up. We need to help these folks get their own apartment.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. We are about to go towards the end a little bit, but Alderman Urban has a quick question. We are pressed on time.
So one of the items that we had talked about previously in the meeting was dealing with violence prevention, homelessness, and youth services. And my question, and I don't know the answer to this from you all today, is the amount of revenue that we generated, if the amount of the tax was reduced from $1 million to $500,000 to create money for violence prevention, homelessness, and youth services, which are items that sort of need not only on the west side of Chicago, but across our city, to experience some of the challenges that our people are facing across the board. The homelessness, I want to be clear, is definitely a priority. We also have to take care of our young people, keep them on the right path as well as the violence and provide services for our youth. I don't know if you'll answer yet, but I think that's something that's worth exploring because again, dedicated residence training, we have a lot of challenges. Broadening the goal and the time that goes forward to create more money both for homelessness and for violence and for services for our youth.
So the only one answer that I am going to give you on that is, since the inception of this resolution, we have been willing to negotiate. We have no quorum with negotiating as it relates to this resolution. We still need dedicated funding. We still need dedicated funding. And so to those of you who have not been around since the inception of this resolution, I need you all to know that from the beginning, we have been willing to negotiate. And so if they want to put violence prevention, youth programs, or whatever the case may be in this resolution, we're willing to negotiate. We are just simply trying to get dedicated funding for homelessness. There is not enough money given toward homeless services.
If you ain't got a home, what else you gonna do?
Exactly.
If you ain't got a safe place to live.
Absolutely. I operate one of the largest homeless shelters in the city of Chicago. I see this every day. 200-300 people come to our program in a day.
Urban.
Again, from the beginning, and this has been going on for a while, from the beginning, we've been saying, hey, come on, let's go to the table and meet. Let's talk about this. Let's meet with the mayor. So we're willing to negotiate. All of these issues that you've raised is as of importance to us, because the reality is, guess what? If you're homeless, a lot of times what you try to do, survive. And a lot of times,
Ain't no time, you have to.
survival kick in, violence happens.
Yes.
That's just the reality of it.
And Alderman Irving, you said you wanted to help youth. Did you know that there's 20,000 youth homeless in the city of Chicago today? Out of that 20,000, 16,000 are kids in CPS schools. That's a lot. That is ridiculous. There's no reason why they should not be housed.
These are our future. These are our kids.
Yes.
Who do they have to look up to?
We just want to know what we're gonna do about it.
We
What
need
y'all
to
gonna do about
have
it?
a dedicated revenue stream. It's time.
Okay, thank you all so much. Thank you, Alderman Burnett, for your
He wants to say
commitment.
something.
Thank you for your transparency on the issues that you like to raise and for your presence here. So we do appreciate you both. We've heard from our aldermen. Now we would like to hear from you. So we're gonna transition into small groups,
Okay.
okay?
All right.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to- I had to-
Okay, so we have people who are already at tables. If the people in the front would like to take your chair, and make circles or sit at one of the groups in the back, please do so now. And again, at the table,